Alright, we back, man. Damn. Okay, first of all, is that rain and shit?
I know it was real windy.
This shit's crazy. Okay, now we back with another one. This is In Young You. Um, this bitch supposedly made what is his name? Anthony Terratute, some shit. Y'all, I can't even pronounce that shit. I ain't even gonna try. Yo, pass me the other phone, you hear? Roll up something. Hey yo, alright, so I know I can see woman. Alright, so um I don't know. This is one of them. This is one of them situations where it's like, um, can you really blame them for like, yo, this is involuntary manslaughter, so you wouldn't volunteering? That's a stupid word, yo. Like involuntary. Like I didn't. Who volunteers to push me? Not me, nigga, but jump off. Like,
Like she inadvertently had something to do with is. Are you saying that she inadvertently is partly the blame?
uh,
I mean, it's possible because it's possible for a man to completely control a woman. Why isn't it possible for a woman to completely control a man to that point? I mean, he probably loved her a whole hell of a lot that she loved him, and he just was that type of
One more time. I don't know. It just seemed wrong as shit.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't know about the involuntary manslaughter. The reason why I don't know is because that's like being online and because my name. Well, this has actually happened. I was on
But you know what? It's almost like bullying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
Kill yourself.
Yeah, die slow, nigga. But what I'm trying to say is this though. When I was on the monkey app, remember my monkey app video?
And
I go on there, you know how they be wilding on monkey app and shit, you heard? And then all of a sudden, a nigga be like, "Oh, sorry, y'all, I'm playing an app." You know what I'm saying? Got to multitask, because I'm trying to get sponsorship. You heard? So, I was on the monkey app, and I go on there, and my name is Charlotte, whatever, whatever, and they was like, "Oh, you a faggot," blah 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 blah. All of these sexual and racial epithets towards me, which was not positive. And then I could be all sad and shit. You feel me? And then it's like they bullying me, right? But then again, if you online, right? Can you blame somebody for that shit? Cause they do that. Like you know that when you get online, that there's gonna be a whole bunch of trolling niggas, and so
yeah, but these niggas you don't love. These and they're not supposed to love you. This is somebody that you are so deeply in love that you let them control.
No, I know. I've been there. I know what he's talking about.
Constantly saying, "Kill yourself. You need to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Go on and jump out the window. Go on, knock yourself out."
So, back to the. Do you believe you should go to?
Do I believe she should go to jail?
Yeah, that's like.
Yeah, I believe she should. I believe she should have some type of repercussions from that because she did assist in a man taking his life, and it was supposed to be her boyfriend. This is somebody she's supposed to love, but yet she was pushing him in that direction.
Thanks.
And he already told her how much control she had over him, and this was somebody that seemed to have taken advantage of this control.
Okay.
And then when evidently she must have wanted to get rid of him, and he didn't want to leave her.
You were right, man. Exactly.
Because he was so much in love with her, so she was like, go kill yourself.
Yeah, yep, please.
And this is the only way I can get rid of you if I tell you to kill yourself and you're not getting a hint that I don't want to be with you. But then maybe not, You never know.
There's some other shit, bro. I don't know. So let's go into this video and we'll come back with more commentary. You heard? Got him.
After the former Boston College student charged in her boyfriend's suicide, prosecutors say she sent 47,000 text messages. Some may say telling him to go kill yourself. What she has now released tonight, and here's Will Reeve. Tonight, a former Boston College student charged with involuntary manslaughter in her boyfriend's graduation day suicide has returned to the United States ahead of her arraignment.
Miss Yu made demands and threats with the understanding that she had complete and total control over Mr. Ortula, both mentally and emotionally.
In Young Yu of South Korea is accused of manipulating Alexander Ortula, physically, verbally, and psychologically abusing her boyfriend, sending more than 47,000 texts in 2 months, some telling him to go kill himself or go die. But this week, Yu's legal team released more messages to the Boston Globe, claiming to show their client trying to intervene in those final desperate moments. The text saying, "If you expletive love me, stop. If you ever expletive loved me, stop." We spoke to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office and said these most recent texts were just a small fraction of what happened.
But if you don't fucking love
will
me,
be arraigned tomorrow morning. David?
Well, by then it was too late. She done filled them up with so much other stuff.
Oh, that buttery boo. You know what I'm talking about?
And then at the last,
Cecilia,
when he on the thing leaning over the side, you gonna say, if you love me, stop. It's too late now, baby.
She's abusing me.
Could be using those final text messages as evidence as she faces charges of involuntary manslaughter.
We're almost there.
Prosecutors say 21-year-old Boston College student In Young Yu was physically, verbally, and psychologically abusive to her boyfriend, Alexander Ortula, going so far as to repeatedly urge him to, quote, go kill yourself and go die in the months prior to him jumping off a parking garage, which happened just 90 minutes before he was set to graduate.
Miss Yu made demands and threats with the understanding that she had complete and total control over Mr. Ortula, both mentally and emotionally.
But this morning, representatives of Yu sharing with the Boston Globe a series of texts that they claim show her trying to intervene in the final moments. In one exchange, Yu allegedly writes, "I asked you why your location wasn't available. Are you kidding me?" Ortula replying, "I'm not going to be anywhere, In Young. This is goodbye forever. I love you. This isn't your fault. It's mine." Yu responds, "What? You're leaving me?" Ortula then responds, "I'm far away on a tall place and I'm not going to be here for long. I'm leaving everyone." These messages were just a fraction of the more than 75,000 text messages prosecutors say were exchanged in the 2 months leading to his death. 47,000 alone from Yu. The district attorney's office is declining to comment on these specific texts, but said at the time of her indictment last month that Yu was with Ortula when he killed himself.
Miss Yu was tracking Mr. Ortula's location, as she frequently did, on her phone. She went to the garage and, in fact, was present when Mr. Ortula jumped to his death.
This case initially drew comparisons to Michelle Carter, who was recently denied parole for involuntary manslaughter after...
We got a video on Michelle Carter coming soon. But yeah, that bitch here should go to jail. She was there. That's why she should go to jail. Because it's like, you'll kill yourself, nigga. And then they pull up on you with binoculars, right? Or did that nigga go...
And for the last 2 months, you've been doing this and telling them this. And then at the very end, you're going to talk about, if you love me, don't stop. Come on. He too far gone now. It is just too far gone. And then you're there? Come on. Come on.
Jail time, man.
I know. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Authorities discovered text messages she'd sent to her boyfriend, Conrad Roy, as he contemplated suicide in his garage. Among Michelle's text messages, "I thought you wanted to do this. The time is right and you're ready. You just need to do it." Roy died from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Jesus.
In Young Yu is currently in South Korea. Now she plans to withdraw from Boston College and voluntarily come back to the U.S. to be arraigned. She is expected to provide those text messages as part of her defense, Cecilia, but prosecutors say there are hundreds, if not thousands, where she's also telling him to take his own life, Cecilia.
Such a tough story. Okay, Paula, thanks. Let's bring Dan Abrams back to to break this one down for us. Okay, so you just heard Paula say we've got these two versions of text messages out there. One side says they show you imploring Urtula not to take his life. The other side says the exact opposite. Which one holds up in court?
Look, they're all going to be presented in court, and it's going to become a question of the total picture of the text messages. We are seeing an isolated group now of text messages being distributed by her team to say, look, there were efforts to stop him. She was saying, don't do it. This is right around the time that he killed himself. The issue is, it sounds like prosecutors are saying, yeah, but after these text messages were sent, she was literally there when he did it, and she did something else to encourage it. But look, this is not an easy prosecution. Prosecuting simply based on words is never going to be easy. Yes, in the Michelle Carter case, there was a successful prosecution. It's actually reached the Supreme Court at this point. But that doesn't mean that prosecuting is easy. So anytime you get helpful text messages like this, it is helpful to the defense.
And you're not convinced she's coming back from South Korea?
Well, I mean, look, it's not an easy extradition. I mean, usually extradition is a rubber stamp, right? It's like charged with involuntary manslaughter. That's a serious crime. We have an extradition treaty with South Korea. They're going to send her back. But here, the South Koreans could take the position that we wouldn't recognize this because it's a stretch as a crime, and therefore we're not going to extradite her. So we'll see if there's a fight. She may voluntarily come back. She says she's coming back. That's been the position she's taking. But always lurking in the background is this possibility that what if she says no? What would happen then with regard to a fight over extradition, and what position would the South Koreans take on it?
Tough case. Danny Rooms, thank you.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right.
Miss you. On October 18th, 2019, a grand jury for the Suffolk County returned one indictment against you. Offense 001, manslaughter. At this time, do you wish to waive the formal reading of the indictments?
Yes, I waive the formal reading of that.
And how do you not plead?
Not guilty.
Thank you.
Madam Magistrate, if I may lay out a statement of the allegations in this case. Please do. At approximately 8:36 a.m. on Monday, May 20th, 2019, officers with the Boston Police, MBTA Transit Police, and Northeastern University Police responded to multiple calls for a report of an individual who fell from the roof of the Renaissance parking garage onto the lower crossway of the Ruggles MBAT station in Roxbury. The victim's injuries were fatal. An initial review of witness statements and surveillance footage led investigators to conclude that the victim, 22-year-old Alexander Urtula, had jumped from the roof, that his death was not accidental nor the result of his being physically pushed off the roof, and that his girlfriend, the defendant before you, was present on the roof the time Mr. Urtula jumped. After speaking with the defendant, Mr. Urtula's family members at the scene, investigators learned that on Sunday, May 19th, Mr. Urtula had driven to the Boston area from New Jersey with his older brother and his parents to attend his graduation ceremony from Boston College, which was scheduled for the morning of May 20th. Mr. Urtula spent the night before his graduation in the defendant's dorm room, which was located on the Brighton campus of Boston College. Instead of meeting his family at Alumni Stadium on the morning of his graduation as planned, Mr. Urtula left the defendant's dorm shortly before 7 a.m. and took an Uber directly to the Renaissance parking garage, arriving at around 7:30 a.m., where he then sent text messages to both the defendant and his older brother at approximately 7:38 and 7:41 a.m., expressing his intentions to end his own life. Mr. Urtula did not respond or answer multiple texts and phone calls from his brother or the defendant and stopped reading their messages. However, at some point between 7:38 a.m. and 7:49 a.m., Mr. Urtula turned his phone's location services on, allowing the defendant, who customarily monitored his location, to track him to the garage. The defendant proceeded to the garage, arriving at around 8:31 a.m. and was on the roof when Mr. Urtula jumped at approximately 8:44 a.m. Mr. Urtula's belongings, including his cellular telephone, were recovered from the roof by investigators, and a forensic extraction of that telephone was completed before it was returned to his family. A review of the contents of that forensic extraction, as well as witness interviews, prompted a joint investigation by the MBTA Transit Police and the Suffolk County DA's office. That investigation revealed that the defendant became physically, verbally, and psychologically abusive towards Mr. Urtula during the course of their year-and-a-half-long relationship. that the abuse intensified in the days and hours leading to Mr. Ortula's death, and that the defendant's abuse was the cause of Mr. Ortula's suicide. The defendant's abuse was witnessed by friends and classmates of both Mr. Ortula and the defendant, and is documented extensively in their text messages as well as Mr. Ortula's journals. The Commonwealth has developed evidence through a grand jury investigation that establishes the defendant's culpability in Mr. Ortula's death under both theories of involuntary manslaughter. The first theory, that the defendant consistent and repeated psychological abuse was wanton and reckless and overwhelms Mr. Ortula's will to live. And under the second theory, in the context of their relationship, the defendant's abuse created a life-threatening condition which gave rise to a duty of the defendant to take reasonable steps to alleviate that risk, and the defendant failed to act. With respect to that first theory, family and friends who knew Mr. Ortula prior to his relationship with the defendant described him as driven, strong-willed, and a leader with no history of mental health problems. The defendant, Mr. Ortula, began dating sometime in late 2017 and early 2018 after meeting through the Philippine Society of Boston College, otherwise known as PSBC, a student-run organization dedicated to fostering Filipino culture on campus. In the late summer, early fall of 2018, the defendant became abusive towards Mr. Ortula after discovering that he had not been truthful about continuing to communicate and socialize with an ex-girlfriend, a fellow Boston College classmate. Witnesses will testify to multiple instances where they personally observed the defendant being physically and verbally abusive towards Ortula and threatening self-harm or suicide as a means to control him. As one witness related, "You would text Ortula or say that she was going to harm herself to make sure she pulled him away. Ortula would suddenly leave every time we were out at a party or a bar, saying he had to go with a very concerned look on his face. And very often he would say that In-young's trying to hurt herself, that he has to leave the party. In-young would send underclassmen or people to try to take Alex away from us." Significantly, one of these incidents took place at the same parking garage where Mr. Ortula ultimately took his own life, and another took place at a parking garage on Boston College's main campus where BC campus police were called to respond. Witnesses will testify that Mr. Ortula was concerned that the defendant would take her life, and expressed multiple times that the reason why he didn't feel comfortable ending the relationship was because he knew if he did that, she would do something drastic like hurt or kill herself. Quote, "Alex felt trapped, like he had no option but to stay with her because her life was literally in his hands. Friends tried to intervene and suggest to Mr. Ortula the defendant needed professional help. In early December, Mr. Ortula acquiesced and texted two friends in a group message saying, "I'm worried, I need help, I can't do this alone." However, when one of his friends contacted the campus health center's emergency services hotline about the defendant, they were told that there was, quote, "no imminent danger." Between March 29th of 2019 and his death on the morning of May 20th, Mr. Ortula and the defendant exchanged 75,337 messages, with the defendant sending 47,130 of those. The breakdown of those text messages per day is staggering and reveals a cyclical pattern wherein a huge quarrel led to an exchange of thousands of messages, followed by a day or two of calm and an exchange of only a few hundred messages. Call logs obtained also made clear that they were constantly communicating via FaceTime as well. These text messages demonstrate the power dynamic of the relationship. Both the defendant and Mr. Ortula discussed how the defendant owned Ortula, how he was her slave, and how Mr. Ortula ceded his autonomy to the defendant as a condition of the relationship. For example, Mr. Ortula wrote, "You own me, all of me, only you. You have complete control of me emotionally and physically, and you dictate my happiness. You owning all of me includes everything. What I think, what I feel, you own all of that. All of my history, everything. Anything you want, I want to give it to you. Your happiness is my only priority." By March of 2019, the defendant succeeded in isolating Mr. Ortula from all his friends from Boston College, individuals whom she viewed as a threat to their relationship. She required Mr. Ortula to block their phone numbers and block them on social media, and to also send her screenshots and screen recordings of his blocked call list and text messaging history to prove he was not communicating with them.
So yeah, she after hearing all that testimony, I think she deserved to be where she's going. Y'all like, comment, subscribe. This your girl, sometimes your boy, Charlotte Carolina. You know my slogan. I'm flexing on these niggas like Hulk Hogan, and I'm gone.